Minnesota Vol, knowing that Coach Tony Vitello, Danny White obviously wanted to host a Super Regional, and presuming Greg Sankey would have preferred Tennessee hosting a Super Regional. What types of conversations and meetings are AD Danny White and Sankey having, well, with the powers to be to try and make sure that this doesn't happen again in the future? Look, bottom line, and Brent, please jump in here when I'm done. Bottom line, both teams are deserving of this, okay? They were playoff teams. They both put in a bid with the opportunity to host a regional or a super regional if we got to that point. Both venues did it last year. Both venues are accommodating. Both programs had good and successful seasons. Both were deserving. But this decision wasn't based on playing resume, because if it was, it'd be Tennessee hands down. RPI, shrink the schedule. Just look at what Southern Miss has done against SEC schools this year. And I'm not saying that they're going to lose this weekend. I'm just saying if it's based on playing resume, that's not what the decision was. Bottom line, it came down to who you know. That's what happened. It came down to who you know. And Brent, I'm not sure how much thought actually went into this, and if it was more of a foregone conclusion. If this scenario arises, this is what we're going to do. Tennessee's going to hit the road, go to Southern Miss. It's going to be a great environment, and we'll see if Tennessee can win on the road just like it did against the Clemson Regional. Both venues are deserving. I just don't think that there was much of a conversation had there.
Well, and this is where the NCAA gets themselves in routine trouble. Okay, this is why there's the previous question that we had in this podcast about when are the two going to when's the conference going to break away from the NCAA? Because it's the NCAA's lack of transparency, Rob, and it's their lack of transparency in so much of what they do. Okay, and it's not just in this process, but it's the committee's going to meet on the second Tuesday of every month that ends in Y that has 31 days on it, to determine somebody's eligibility. It's this guy gets eligible, this guy's not eligible. Their resume their appeal for being eligible appears to be the exact, very, very comparable to each other. Why was there a difference? We don't know. Okay, that's the problem that the NCAA gets into here. This committee has had a bad 2 weeks. I said it on the message board, and I truly believe this. There's no way, and I'm not knocking Kentucky, so Kentucky fans, get out of my DMs. I'm not saying anything bad against you as a school, but there's no way, based on the criteria for hosting a regional, Kentucky should have hosted a regional.
Yep.
If you can't provide hotel rooms, you can't come back and say, we're going to give you a dorm, and that's going to suffice. Because here's what you've opened up. Next year, when somebody in another league says something and presents their bid, you can't come back and say, well, you don't have enough hotel accommodations. Well, you've already shown that that's not important, right? Here's the bottom line. Anytime you bring a human element into this decision-making process, which is what you do with this committee, you don't know. You don't know what the answer is. Am I saying Southern Miss got this bid to host a super regional because one of the committee members' sons plays on the Southern Miss baseball team? No, but that's a hell of a bad looking optic, right?
Yep.
But that's just the bottom line. It's a bad looking optic. You should seed that tournament. Okay, there should be a second tier, just like in the NCAA tournament. Who's the number 1-2 seed? Who's the number 2 seed? And if you get into a situation where the top seed gets knocked out and you're going through this, let's get out of who offered more money and this, and let's give it, if the venue is a legit venue, which most of them are in college baseball, okay, let's just give it to the highest 2 seed, right? Seed them. That's what you need to do, and take out the human element so you don't have these optics that you have right now, because it's a bad look.
And I'll say this, I mentioned the War Room a couple weeks ago and on the board a little bit, as Tennessee heading into regional play, as Tennessee being one of the higher, ranked 2 seeds or whatever. I mean, there's no official ranking of 2 seeds. This isn't the March Madness tournament. This isn't basketball. But there is a pecking order, 100%. It's not public, but there 100% is a pecking order of 2 seeds. And, another contributing factor to this, Southern Miss was likely higher than Tennessee on that quote-unquote pecking order because the Southeastern Conference already had a ton of host sites for regionals, and Tennessee was further down a little bit. It was in conversation, but when it lost A&M, it was not going to be a thing anymore. But it was further down that list because the NCAA didn't want to grant another host site to an SEC team. So, again, there's just a lot to this, and I think that with everything the NCAA is, you overcomplicate things. Oh, yeah, Tennessee beat the higher overall seed in Clemson. So, that could be another, feather in the cap to why Tennessee should host a super regional. It just is what it is. I'm gonna get in a car and drive 7.5 hours and sit through rain and 95-degree heat for 3 days. And
I mean, it's your specialty, EC. But I just think it's absurd that the teams aren't seeded after the one seeds, like Brent was saying.
no.
That is so Mickey Mouse. And again, it goes back to what Brent was saying: the lack of transparency with that organization for going back to the dawn of time has always just been a horrible aspect of the NCAA, in my opinion.
Well, and here's the other thing that needs to happen too. College baseball's on a step, getting ready, on the potential to take another step. I didn't say that very well, but college baseball is growing. Okay, we're paying coaches lots of money, right? You're building high end facilities now. It is a sport that's really growing in nature. Okay, so to yield its credibility even further, Matt, you got to get out of some of these Mickey Mouse backdoor. What happened there? The other thing that needs to happen too is there need to be more regional games on television. Listen, Chris Budden and Chris Burke and those guys, they did a great job with squeeze play over the weekend. It was fantastic. Okay, but this, for the money that's being spent in college baseball needs to have meetings and work to get better publicity and better expansion of eyeballs on them than what they have right now. This is not a good look for college baseball because you don't know how anything it makes it look small, still small time, and that's not where college baseball's at. Get more regional games on TV. Okay, you're a better product to watch than axe throwing or pickleball. Okay, get more games on TV and be more transparent and grow the sport, grow the fiber of the sport to continue with the product that's being produced out there. In my opinion,
the TSSAA does a better job with their postseason than NCAA. When you, I mean, can you imagine, not knowing where you're going to play next week ahead of time? I mean, we've talked about it a lot, but the fact that after the one seeds, it's just a jumble I just can't. I still can't get my head around it.
Just seed it. I mean, it's as simple as that. Just seed it. I mean, you do it in the NCAA tournament, and obviously that plays out, differently, but just seed it. 64
Rob,
teams just
last thing on this, and we got to move on. But Rob, correct me if I'm wrong, though. There is a Q&A after Selection Sunday, right? I mean, there's a Q&A. There's an interview type setting to somewhat say, all right, committee, why did you go this way? What merit did you value in this?
They make the rounds. I mean,
yeah.
They don't get grilled. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they're not hooked up to a lie detector machine, but I mean, they go on and tell ESPN or Jim Nantz or whoever, what they were thinking, or, what went into this thought. And
so there's not one of those for baseball, obviously. And again, could you imagine something like this happen, Sweet 16 for March Madness? And that's what's happening right now for Tennessee baseball. So again, it's not the end of the world. You're going to go on you're still alive. You're going to go on the road. You're going to play, and Vitello and the gang's going to be ready to roll. But it's it's frustrating how it happened.
Yeah, and let me say this: this is not whoa, Tennessee got. I mean, and we're having this conversation because it affects the program we cover on a daily basis. I'm talking big picture.
Sure.
I'm talking this for the entire sport, not just Tennessee. Whoa, is Tennessee? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying in general. Okay, just the whole narrative of the sport. That there's some things they need to do to help it further take the next step that has nothing to do with the ball being hit or a pitch being made or getting a ground ball out. It has nothing to do with what happens between the white lines. It's some administrative stuff that they need to clean up, be more transparent about for the entire sport. I think it's important for them moving forward.